The blizzard hit New Terra without warning, turning the afternoon sky black with snow and ice. Lucy Bennett pulled her thin coat tighter as she ran toward the storage shed behind her house. Her father needed the emergency heater, and she was the only one small enough to squeeze through the half-frozen door. 8 years old and already tougher than most adults on this frontier world, Lucy had learned to move fast when winter came early. Her breath formed clouds in the freezing air as she reached the shed and pushed against the door. Ice cracked and fell away as she slipped inside. That was when she heard the sound of a soft chirping, weak and desperate, came from somewhere near the back wall. Lucy froze and listened. The sound came again, barely audible over the howling wind outside. She grabbed the small flashlight from her pocket and moved deeper into the shed. Behind a stack of supply crates, she found them. Two small creatures lay in a drift of snow that had blown through a crack in the wall. They were no bigger than cats, their bodies covered in scales that shimmered even in the dim light. One was deep red with black markings, the other pale blue with silver edges. Their scales were turning darker blue from the cold, and they barely moved except for the weak chirping sounds coming from their throats. Lucy knew what they were immediately. Everyone in the galaxy knew what Drakkar looked like, even the babies. These were dragon hatchlings, and they were dying. Her hands shook as she knelt beside them. The Drakkar ruled the Celestial Empire. They were massive creatures when fully grown, powerful enough to survive in the vacuum of space itself. But these two tiny beings looked so fragile, their eyes barely open, their bodies trembling. Lucy made her decision in half a second. She stripped off her coat and wrapped both hatchlings inside, holding them against her chest. They were so cold they felt like ice against her skin. She ran back to the house faster than she had ever run before, her own body shaking from the freezing air cutting through her thin shirt. The door burst open and David Bennett looked up from the broken heater he was trying to repair. His eyes went wide when he saw what his daughter carried. "Lucy, what did you do?" His voice was barely a whisper. "They were freezing, Dad. They were dying." Lucy moved straight to the heating unit in the corner and knelt beside it, carefully unwrapping the hatchlings and placing them on a blanket near the warmth. David crossed the room in 3 steps and stared down at the tiny dragons. His face had gone pale. "Do you know what these are? Do you have any idea what could happen if they die here in our house? They are babies who need help." Lucy looked up at her father with the same stubborn expression her mother used to have. "I cannot leave them in the snow. Lucy, these are not pets. These are Drakkar, the ruling species. If something happens to them while they are in our care, they could execute our entire settlement." David ran his hands through his hair, a gesture he made when he was terrified. "We need to contact the authorities right now." "No." Lucy placed her small body between her father and the hatchlings. "Look at them, Dad. They are barely breathing. If we take them back outside to transport them, they will die before help arrives. They need warmth first, then food, then we can call someone." David stared at his daughter. She had her mother's eyes, fierce and determined. Her mother, Sarah, had died 2 years ago during a medical supply shortage. David had watched her slip away while he stood helpless, unable to save her. Now his daughter was risking everything to save 2 creatures she did not even know. "Please, Dad, remember when Mom was sick? Remember how you said you would have done anything to help her? These babies did not choose to crash here. They did not choose to be separated from their parents. They are just cold and scared and need someone to help them. Are we going to be people who help or people who look away?" David closed his eyes. His daughter was right, and she was also possibly signing their death warrants. But he could not deny her. He could not teach her that fear was more important than compassion. "Okay, we keep them warm tonight. But at first light, we contact the Imperial authorities." "Agreed." "Agreed." Lucy turned back to the hatchlings and began gently rubbing their scales, trying to warm them with her hands. David grabbed their datapad and began searching for information about Drakkar biology. If they were going to do this, they needed to do it right. He found basic information quickly. Drakkar hatchlings needed protein, constant warmth, and physical contact. They bonded through body heat in their first weeks of life. "They need food," David said. "We have protein paste in the storage unit. Mix it with warm water, not hot. Their throats are delicate. Lucy nodded and carefully prepared the mixture while David created a nest from blankets near the heater. When everything was ready, Lucy settled into the nest with both hatchlings against her body. She carefully fed them the protein mixture using a small dropper. At first they did not respond, but slowly the warmth and food began to work. The red and black hatchling opened its eyes first. They were bright gold, ancient and intelligent even in such a tiny creature. It looked at Lucy and made a soft chirping sound, different from the distressed cries before. This sound was curious, almost questioning. "Hello," Lucy whispered. "You are safe now. I promise." The blue and silver hatchling stirred next, nuzzling against Lucy's hand. Both began to move more, exploring their new warm environment. They climbed onto Lucy's shoulders, wrapped around her arms, and chirped constantly as if talking to each other. Despite his fear, David felt his heart soften watching his daughter with the two baby dragons. She hummed softly to them, the same song Sarah used to sing to Lucy when she was small. The hatchlings seemed to calm at the sound, settling against her. Hours passed. David kept checking the news feeds, watching the reports coming in from across the sector. Imperial ships were searching. A transport vessel had crashed during a storm. 2 royal hatchlings were missing, children of High Prince Rhaegar himself, third in line to the throne. "Lucy," David said quietly, "these are not just any Drakkar babies. They are royalty, Prince Rhaegar's children." Lucy looked down at the 2 small creatures, now sleeping peacefully against her chest. Does that change anything? They were still cold. They still needed help. David had no answer for that. As night deepened, Lucy refused to leave the hatchlings. She stayed in the nest, keeping them warm with her body heat. David brought her food and water, but she barely ate, too focused on making sure her 2 charges were comfortable. Finally, exhaustion caught up with her. David found her asleep, sitting up, her back against the wall, both hatchlings curled in her lap. They had wrapped their tails around her arms, holding on even in sleep. David covered his daughter with another blanket and sat down to keep watch. Outside, the blizzard continued to rage. Inside, 3 children slept peacefully, unaware of the storm that was coming to T-dawn. The door sensor activated. Someone was approaching the house. David checked the security screen and felt his blood turn to ice point. 3 massive Drakkar adults, each larger than a ground transport vehicle, were landing in their yard. Their scales gleamed in the early morning light. Their eyes glowed with barely contained power. Behind them, an imperial shuttle bearing the royal seal descended from the sky. High Prince Rhaegar had found his children, and standing beside him was someone even more terrifying. Emperor Voketh himself had come to New Terra. Lucy woke to her father, gently shaking her shoulder. His face was white as snow, and his hands trembled. The 2 hatchlings stirred in her lap, making soft chirping sounds as they woke. "Lucy, listen to me very carefully. The royal family is here. The emperor himself is outside our house. When they come in, stay calm and do exactly what I tell you. Do you understand?" Lucy looked down at the 2 baby dragons in her arms. They had recovered their color during the night. The red one's scales now gleamed like rubies, and the blue one shimmered like sapphires. They looked healthy and alert, climbing up her shoulders and nuzzling her neck with their small snouts. "They came for their babies," Lucy said simply. "We should give them back." Before David could respond, the door opened without anyone knocking. The house was small, barely large enough for 2 humans, and suddenly it seemed impossibly tiny as 3 massive Drakkar entered. The first was deep crimson with black markings, his scales like polished armor. His eyes burned gold like small suns, and his presence filled the room with barely controlled fury and fear. This was High Prince Rhaegar, and he was searching for his children. Behind him came a female Drakkar, slightly smaller, but no less imposing. Her scales were iridescent blue that shifted to purple and silver as she moved. Her eyes, also golden, were wild with desperation. This was Princess Sarah, and she had spent all night believing her babies were dead. Then the Emperor entered, and Lucy understood why her father looked so terrified. Emperor Voketh the Eternal was larger than the other 2, his scales like polished silver that caught and reflected every bit of light. He was ancient, older than most civilizations, and his eyes held the weight of thousands of years. When he moved, the air itself seemed to shift around him. Princess Sarah saw her babies first. She made a sound between a roar and a cry, lunging forward with her claws extended. David threw himself between his daughter and the massive dragon, certain he was about to die. But Lucy simply stood up, carefully cradling both hatchlings, and walked forward. "Please do not be angry," she said in her small, clear voice. "They are okay. I promise I took good care of them." She held out the hatchlings toward their mother. Princess Sarah froze, her claws inches from David's face. She stared at Lucy, at this tiny human child who showed no fear, who held her babies with such gentle care. Slowly, Sarah retracted her claws and carefully, so carefully, took her children from Lucy's small hands. The moment the hatchlings touched their mother, they began chirping excitedly, climbing over her scales and nuzzling against her. Sarah held them close, examining every inch of their bodies, checking for injuries or illness. Finding none, she began to make soft crooning sounds, a Drakkar lullaby that spoke of safety and love. High Prince Rhaegar moved to his mate's side, touching his children with one massive claw. His eyes closed briefly in relief, so profound it was almost painful to witness. When he opened them again, he looked at Lucy with an expression she could not quite read. "Why did you not report finding royal hatchlings immediately?" His voice was deep enough to rattle the walls. "Why did you keep them here through the night?" David tried to answer, his voice shaking. "Your Highness, we meant no disrespect. We only wanted to—" "I asked the child," Rhaegar interrupted, his eyes never leaving Lucy. Lucy met his gaze without flinching. They were freezing. Their scales were turning blue from cold. If we had taken them back outside to transport them, they might have died before help came. They needed to be warm first. They needed food. They needed to know someone cared about them. You did not care that they were royal?" Sarah asked, still holding her babies close. "You were not afraid of keeping the Emperor's grandchildren?" "I did not know who they were when I found them," Lucy said honestly. "But I do not think it would have mattered. They were babies who needed help. That is all I saw." Emperor Voketh, who had been silent until now, moved closer. Each of his steps shook the floor. He lowered his massive head until his eyes were level with Lucy's face. She could feel the heat radiating from his scales, see her reflection in his ancient golden eyes. "You endangered yourself and your family for creatures you did not know. You gave your warmth, your food, your sleep. Why?" Lucy thought about the question carefully. Adults always seem to want complicated answers, but she only had simple ones. "My mom died 2 years ago. She got sick, and we did not have a medicine to save her. I remember feeling so cold after she was gone, like I would never be warm again. When I saw those 2 babies in the snow, so cold and alone, I just thought that maybe someone's mom was looking for them. Maybe someone's dad was scared they lost their children. I could not save my mom, but I could help them. So I did." The room fell completely silent except for the soft chirping of the hatchlings. Princess Sarah's eyes filled with tears, something David had never imagined a dragon could do. Sarah knelt down, bringing herself closer to Lucy's height. "In our culture, to save a life creates a bond that cannot be broken. You are now part of our family circle, little human. You are sister to my children, daughter to me. This bond is eternal. But you did more than save lives," Emperor Voketh said, his voice softer now. "You showed compassion when others would have shown fear. You gave without expecting anything in return. You saw not dragons or royalty, but simply beings who needed help. This is rare, child, rarer than you know." The Emperor straightened to his full height. "What is your name?" "Lucy Bennett, Your Majesty." "Lucy Bennett, the entire treasury of 10,000 worlds is available to you. Name your reward. Wealth? Power? A planet of your own. Whatever you desire shall be yours." Lucy looked at her father, then at Princess Sarah, still holding the 2 hatchlings, then back at the Emperor. She bit her lip, thinking hard. "Can you give our colony better medical supplies?" she finally asked. "We have a hospital, but it does not have very good equipment. People get sick and sometimes they die because we do not have the right medicine. My mom died like that. If you want to thank me, I want other kids to not lose their moms and dads the way I lost my mom." David made a choke sound. Princess Sarah pressed one claw to her chest, over her heart. High Prince Rhaegar lowered his head in respect. Emperor Voketh stared at this small human child who could have asked for anything, who could have made herself and her family wealthy beyond imagination, and instead asked for medicine for strangers. "You did not ask for anything for yourself. I have everything I need," Lucy said. "I have my dad. I have our home. I do not need more. But other people do." The Emperor's eyes blazed brighter. He turned to his son. "Rhaegar, you once asked me what makes a soul worthy of respect. Here is your answer. Behold the human heart." He turned back to Lucy. "I grant your request. Your colony will have the finest medical facility in this sector. But that is not enough. I name you Heartfire, a title given to those who embody pure compassion. And I declare that this colony, New Terra, is now under my personal protection. The Bennett family is made a ward of the Imperial House. Any who harm you or yours shall answer to me personally." Lucy did not fully understand what all those words meant, but she understood that something important had just happened. "Can I visit them?" she asked, pointing at the hatchlings. "Just to make sure they stay healthy?" Princess Sarah laughed, a sound like music. "Little sister, you may visit whenever you wish. They are bonded to you now. They will want to see you as much as you wish to see them." The Emperor moved to the door and raised one claw. Silver flames appeared at his command, dancing around the doorframe without burning anything. When the flames faded, the doorframe glowed with soft silver light. "This dwelling is now blessed by Imperial seal. It is sacred ground. All who see this mark will know that the Emperor himself has declared this place worthy of protection." As the royal family prepared to leave, the two hatchlings chirped loudly. They did not want to go. They tried to climb back to Lucy, making distressed sounds. Princess Sarah had to gently restrain them. "They want to stay with you," Sarah said with amusement. "You have made quite an impression. I will visit soon." Lucy promised the hatchlings. "I promise I will come see you." The hatchlings calmed at her voice, though they kept watching her until they were carried out of sight. After the royal family left, David collapsed into a chair. Lucy sat beside him, and they both stared at the silver glow around their door. "What just happened?" David whispered. "I think we made some friends," Lucy said. Outside, news of the Emperor's blessing was already spreading across the colony and beyond. News traveled faster than light when it involved the Emperor. Within hours, every screen in the settled galaxy displayed the same image. Lucy Bennett, an 8-year-old human girl, holding 2 dragon hatchlings against her chest. The story of how she saved the royal children spread like wildfire. Lucy did not understand why everyone cared so much. She sat at the kitchen table eating breakfast while her father watched the news feeds with growing alarm. The messages had started arriving before dawn. Colonial administrators, news agencies, imperial officials, all wanting to speak with Lucy. "They are calling you the Heartfire," David said, scrolling through another dozen messages. "People from 100 worlds want interviews. The colonial governor wants to give you a medal. Someone is trying to name a street after you." Lucy took another bite of her cereal. "I just helped 2 babies who were cold. Why is everyone acting like I did something special?" "Because most people would have been too afraid to touch them," David said quietly. "They would have called the authorities and waited, even if it meant the hatchlings died. You did what was right instead of what was safe. That matters to people." A knock at the door interrupted them. David checked the security screen and saw a Drakkar official wearing Imperial insignia. His heart sank. More changes were coming. The official was polite but firm. New Terra was now under direct Imperial protection. Changes would begin immediately. Medical teams were already en route with equipment that would make their small hospital one of the best in the sector. Supply shipments that had been delayed for months were suddenly cleared for immediate delivery. The colonial administrator, a lazy bureaucrat who had ignored the settlers' problems for years, was being replaced by someone who actually cared. "The Emperor keeps his word," the official said. "Your daughter asked for better medicine. She will have it. But the Emperor has also declared this colony worthy of greater support. You will see improvements in all areas. After the official left, Lucy looked at her father. Is this good? Yes, Lucy. This is very good. Things that we begged for and were ignored, we are getting now because of you. You saved more than 2 hatchlings. You might have saved this whole colony. 3 days later, Princess Sarah returned with both hatchlings. They had grown noticeably larger, now the size of medium dogs rather than cats. The moment they saw Lucy, they made excited chirping sounds and tried to climb all over her. They have been insufferable, Sarah said with affection. They refused to eat properly until I promised to bring them to see you. I think you have spoiled them, little sister. Lucy laughed as the red hatchling, whom she had started calling Flame in her mind, wrapped around her shoulders. The blue one, Frost, settled in her lap and made happy rumbling sounds. Sarah watched with gentle eyes. I came to give you something. She extended one claw, and Lucy saw a single scale resting on it. The scale was the size of Lucy's palm, iridescent blue shot through with silver. This is from my own body. In our culture, a mother gives her scale only to those she trusts absolutely. If you ever need help, hold this and call for me. I will hear you, no matter how far away I am. Lucy took the scale carefully. It was warm and surprisingly light. Thank you. I will keep it safe. I also came to warn you, Sarah said, her tone becoming serious. Not everyone is happy about the Emperor's decision to protect humanity. There's a counselor named Vrath who believes humans are too weak to deserve imperial favor. He is speaking against you in the council chambers. Be careful, Lucy. Political enemies can be more dangerous than physical ones. After Sarah left, taking 2 very reluctant hatchlings with her, Lucy thought about the warning. She did not understand politics, but she understood that someone was angry at her for helping babies. That seemed wrong. David had his own concerns. He was right to worry. In the imperial capital, Counselor Vrath stood before the assembled council. He was an old Drakkar, his scales gray with age, his eyes cold and calculating. He had served 3 emperors and believed he understood power better than anyone. The Emperor makes a mistake, Vrath declared. He elevates a weak species based on one child's action. Humans are primitive. They die after barely a century. They cannot survive in harsh environments without technology. They contribute nothing to the empire that other species do not provide better. The Emperor sees something in them, another counselor argued. Compassion is rare. Compassion is weakness, Vrath snapped. The empire was built on strength and honor. We do not need sentiment. We need power. The Emperor is old and grows soft. This human child manipulated his emotions when his grandchildren were in danger. It proves nothing about humanity as a whole. You dare question the Emperor's judgment? A younger counselor asked, shocked. Idare speak truth, Vrath replied. And the truth is that humanity will be a burden on the empire, not a benefit. They will require constant protection and resources while giving nothing in return. This girl asked for medicine. What will the next human ask for? And the next? Will we give them everything while they remain weak and dependent? The debate raged for hours. Some supported Vrath's position. Others defended the Emperor's decision. But Vrath had planted seeds of doubt, and in politics, doubt grew quickly. Back on New Terra, Lucy was unaware of the political storm she had caused. She was focused on something more immediate. A ship had arrived carrying representatives from the Kryn Dominion, a powerful alliance that had been in Cold War with the Celestial Empire for generations. The Kryn were crystalline beings, their bodies made of living mineral that chimed softly when they moved. They valued logic above all else and considered emotions to be dangerous weaknesses. Their leader, Ambassador Sothis, requested a meeting with Lucy. David wanted to refuse, but the colonial authorities told him the meeting was important. The Kryn wanted to understand why the Emperor valued humanity. Refusing would be seen as an insult. Lucy met Ambassador Sothis in the new community center, still under construction. The Kryn was tall and angular, their body reflecting rainbow light. Their voice was like chiming bells, beautiful but cold. Lucy Bennett called Heartfire. I have come to understand why the Emperor believes your species has value. I do not know if my species has value, Lucy said honestly. I just know that when someone needs help, you should help them if you can. That is sentiment, not logic, Sothis replied. The Kryn do not understand sentiment. We make decisions based on efficiency and reason. The emperor is powerful and ancient. Yet he changes imperial policy because one human child showed kindness to his grandchildren. This seems illogical. Maybe logic is not always the most important thing, Lucy suggested. Then what is more important than logic? Lucy thought about her mother, about the two freezing hatchlings, about her father who worked so hard to keep them safe, caring about each other, making sure nobody is left alone in the cold, being kind even when it is hard. These are weaknesses. Caring makes you vulnerable. Kindness can be exploited. Emotion clouds judgment. Maybe, Lucy agreed. But without those things, what is the point of being alive? If you only care about being logical and strong, do you ever get to be happy? Do you ever have friends? Do you ever love anyone? Sothis was silent for a long moment, their crystalline body chiming softly. The Kryn do not require happiness or love. We require order and efficiency. That sounds lonely, Lucy said quietly. The words seemed to strike Sothis like a physical blow. They stepped back, their body chiming in what might have been distress. I will report to my people, Sothis said finally. The emperor believes humanity possesses value in their emotion and compassion. The Kryn remain unconvinced. We will continue to observe. After the Kryn departed, David hugged his daughter. You did well. That was a difficult conversation. Dad, do you think they're lonely? The Kryn? They said they do not need love or happiness, but everyone needs those things. Do they not know that? David looked at his wise, compassionate daughter and felt his heart swell with pride. Maybe you just taught them something important, even if they do not realize it yet. That night, Lucy visited the new medical center that was being built. It was nearly complete, a gleaming facility with equipment more advanced than anything in 3 sectors. A plaque near the entrance read, Bennett Medical Center, built by imperial decree, a gift to New Terra. Lucy touched the plaque and thought about her mother. Sarah would have loved knowing that no other parent would lose a child to preventable illness, that no other child would lose a parent the way Lucy had. I hope you would be proud of me, Mom. Lucy whispered. A soft glow came from the scale in her pocket, Sarah's gift warming against her skin. Somewhere in the palace, Princess Sarah felt that warmth and smiled, knowing Lucy was thinking of family, both lost and found. Ambassador Sothis returned to New Terra 3 weeks after their first meeting. This time, they brought a delegation of 5 Kryn, all tall and crystalline, all coldly logical. Lucy met them in the newly completed community center, with her father standing protectively beside her. We have debated your words, Sothis announced. The Kryn Council cannot understand why the Emperor values human emotion over Kryn logic. We propose a test. We will present you with 3 scenarios. Your responses will help us determine if humanity truly possesses unique value, or if the Emperor's judgment is clouded by sentiment. David stepped forward. My daughter is 8 years old. Whatever test you have, it should not be designed to trick a child. We do not trick. We observe. Sothis gestured, and a holographic display appeared in the air. These scenarios are real situations the Empire faces. We wish to see how a human thinks compared to how a Kryn thinks. Lucy Bennett may consult with you if she wishes. Lucy looked at her father, who nodded reluctantly. Okay, I will try. The first hologram showed a medical drone, sparking and damaged. Sothis explained the situation in their chiming voice. This drone carries medicine to a remote outpost. 20 people need this medicine. However, the drone is malfunctioning. Repairs would take 6 hours we do not have. The logical solution is to disassemble the drone for parts. Those parts will repair 3 other drones, saving 60 people at 3 different locations. Do you save 20 or 60? Can I see the drone? Lucy asked. A physical drone, identical to the hologram, was brought into the room. Lucy examined it carefully, the way her father had taught her to look at broken equipment. She found the damaged circuit board and saw that one connection was loose, another was corroded. Do you have basic tools? She asked. Sothis seemed surprised but provided a simple toolkit. Lucy worked carefully, cleaning the corroded connection with a cloth and securing the loose wire. It took her 40 minutes, her small hands shaking with effort. But finally the drone hummed to life. "I did not choose," Lucy said. "I fixed it. Now, all 20 people get their medicine, and you still have your parts for the other drones." The scenario was designed to force a choice between two losses, Sothis said. Then the scenario was wrong. You should not accept that people have to die when you can save them. Maybe it is harder to fix things than to give up, but that does not mean you should give up. The Kryn delegation chimed among themselves, a sound like wind through crystals. Sothis recorded notes on a device. The second scenario appeared. It showed two alien species at war, their ships destroying each other in brutal combat. Sothis explained that both sides had legitimate grievances, both had committed terrible acts, and both refused to negotiate. You must choose which side the Empire supports. One side is more technologically advanced and would make a better ally. The other side has greater numbers, but less sophisticated weapons. Which side deserves Imperial support? Lucy watched the footage of ships exploding, of cities burning, of families fleeing their homes. Her eyes filled with tears. "Neither side deserves support for fighting," she said. "Both sides need help stopping. The Empire should not pick who wins. The Empire should help them stop hurting each other." "That is naive," Sothis replied. "These species have fought for 3 generations. They will not simply stop because someone asks them to. Then you keep asking. You help the people who are hurt. You give them places to be safe. You show them that fighting only makes everyone lose." Lucy wiped her eyes. "My mom used to say that being right is less important than being kind. Both sides probably think they are right. But all those people dying, they just want the fighting to stop. Someone has to care more about saving lives than about winning. This approach is inefficient. Resources spent on refugees and aid could be spent on military support for the stronger side, ending the war quickly. And how many people die while you help one side murder the other?" Lucy asked, "Is that what the Empire does? Choose who lives and who dies based on who is stronger?" David put his hand on his daughter's shoulder, proud and terrified at the same time. She was challenging the Kryn in a way that could have serious consequences. The third scenario was the most difficult. Sothis created a hologram showing human settlements across many worlds. The Kryn can offer humanity technology that will extend your lifespans by 500 years. We can give you weapons to defend yourselves. We can make humans powerful enough to stand equal with any species in the galaxy. Lucy's eyes went wide. 500 years. She could see her father live that long. She could have time to do so much good. "What do you want in return?" she asked carefully. "You must give up your emotions. Humanity must become logical like the Kryn. Love, fear, joy, sadness, all of these cloud judgment and make you weak. We will remove these weaknesses. You will live longer and think clearer. This is a fair trade." Lucy looked at her father. David looked back at her, and she saw the answer in his eyes. He would support whatever she decided, but she could see what he hoped she would say. "No," Lucy said firmly. "I will not give up what makes us human. You refuse 500 years of life. You refuse power and protection? Why? Because without emotions, I would not be me anymore. I would not love my dad. I would not care about those hatchlings. I would not feel happy when I help someone or sad when I see people hurting. You say emotions make us weak, but they are what make us human. Living 500 years without love sounds worse than living 50 years with it." Lucy stood up, looking directly at Sothis. "You asked me to choose between saving 20 or 60 people, and I refused to choose. You asked me to pick a side in a war, and I said help everyone instead. Now you want me to stop being human, so I can be more like you. But I do not want to be like you. The Kryn are strong and logical, and they live a long time. But do you ever laugh? Do you ever hug someone just because you miss them? Do you ever cry at something beautiful? You think those things are weak, but I think they're the best parts of being alive." The room fell completely silent. The Kryn delegation chimed softly among themselves, a sound like confusion or perhaps distress. "You have failed all 3 scenarios," Sothis announced. "You chose sentiment over efficiency, idealism over pragmatism, and emotion over power. By Kryn standards, humanity has no special value. Then Kryn's standards are wrong, Lucy said simply. Before Sothis could respond, the door opened. Emperor Vokith entered, his massive form filling the space. Everyone immediately bowed except Lucy, who simply smiled at him. I have been observing this test, the Emperor said, his voice shaking the walls. Ambassador Sothis, you have indeed proven something today, but not what you intended. Your Majesty, Sothis began, but the Emperor raised one claw for silence. This child demonstrated exactly why humanity matters. She refused to accept that people must die when they can be saved. She chose compassion over victory. She valued her humanity more than power or long life. These are not weaknesses. These are the rarest strengths in the galaxy. The Emperor moved closer to Lucy. The Drakkar built an empire on strength and honor. We are powerful and ancient, but empires need more than strength. They need heart. They need someone willing to say that efficiency is less important than kindness, that winning matters less than reducing suffering, that living truly is more valuable than simply existing. He turned to address everyone in the room. I make a new decree. Humans will no longer be classified as a minor protected species. They are now recognized as heart-bearers. Human settlements will receive full imperial support and protection. Humans will be invited to serve throughout the empire in roles where their compassion can benefit all species. This is illogical, Sothis protested. They are weak. They will require constant protection. They are strong where we are weak, the Emperor replied. And sometimes, Ambassador, the most logical choice is to value what cannot be measured or calculated. The Kryn have logic. The Drakkar have power. Humanity has heart. Together, we are better than apart. Sothis and their delegation departed without another word, chiming in agitation. David held Lucy close, hardly believing what had just happened. You just changed the future of our entire species, David whispered. I just said what Mom would have said, Lucy replied. That night, messages flooded in from human settlements across the empire. Hope and celebration spread as people realized their status had changed. They were no longer tolerated. They were valued. But in the shadows, Counselor Vrath watched and planned. The Emperor had made humanity important. That meant they were now worth destroying. 3 months passed, and New Terra transformed from a struggling frontier colony into a thriving settlement. The medical center saved dozens of lives in its first month alone. Supply shipments arrived on schedule. Human families from across the empire began moving to New Terra, seeing it as a symbol of their new status. Lucy's life had changed too. She spent 3 days each week at the Imperial Palace as a ward of the royal family, learning about different species and cultures. Flame and Frost, the two hatchlings, had grown to the size of ponies and followed her everywhere when she visited. They had bonded so deeply to her that Sarah joked Lucy was more their mother than she was on her days at home. Lucy helped at the medical center, reading to patients and keeping children calm during treatments. She had a gift for making people feel safe, and the doctors requested her presence whenever they had frightened patients. David watched his daughter becoming someone important and felt both pride and worry. She was still just 8 years old, but she carried responsibilities that would burden most adults. The trouble started on a quiet morning. David was coordinating supply distribution for the colony when an emergency alert came through. A mining outpost on the edge of their system was under attack. Pirates, the report said, hitting the life support systems. 37 people were trapped in sealed sections, and the air was running out. Lucy was at the medical center when she heard the news. She immediately found her father. We have to help them. Imperial ships are already on their way, David assured her. They will handle it. How long until they arrive? David checked his datapad. 4 hours. Maybe 5. That might be too long. People are scared right now. They need to know help is coming. Lucy pulled out Sarah's scale from her pocket. It glowed softly, warm to the touch. I can call Princess Sarah. She can get there faster. Lucy, you cannot rush into danger every time someone needs help. Yes, I can, Dad. That is exactly what I should do. You taught me that helping people matters more than being safe. David wanted to argue, but he knew his daughter was right. He also knew she had inherited her mother's stubborn determination. Once Lucy decided to help, nothing would stop her. Lucy held the scale and focused on it, thinking of Sarah. The scale grew warmer, then suddenly blazed with blue light. Within minutes, Lucy's communicator activated. Sarah's voice came through, urgent and concerned. "Little sister, what is wrong? I felt your call." Lucy explained about the mining outpost. Sarah did not hesitate. "I'm coming to get you. We leave immediately." "Princess, my daughter does not need to go into a dangerous situation," David protested. "Your daughter called for help. The trapped humans are terrified. Lucy has a gift for calming fear. She can keep them stable until we extract them. I will protect her with my life." 20 minutes later, Sarah arrived with Rhaegar and a team of Imperial rescue specialists. Lucy insisted on joining them despite her father's protests. David finally agreed only after Sarah promised Lucy would stay in the protected command ship. The flight to the mining outpost took 30 minutes at maximum speed. Lucy spent the time learning about the situation. The life support systems had been sabotaged, not just damaged. This was not random pirates. This was a planned attack. Security footage showed the attackers wore no identifying marks, but they moved with military precision. When they arrived, the situation was worse than reported. The attackers had not fled. They were still there, preventing rescue teams from approaching. They had ships with weapons that could damage even Drakkar scales. "This is a trap," Rhaegar said grimly. "They wanted to draw us here. Then we give them what they want," Sarah replied. "But not how they expect." While Rhaegar and his forces engaged the attackers, Sarah took Lucy and a small team to the damaged outpost through a service entrance the attackers had not covered. They found the trapped humans huddled in 3 sealed sections, their air growing thin, their fear approaching panic. Lucy used the communication system to speak to them. "Hello, my name is Lucy. Princess Sarah is here with me. We're going to get you out. I need you to stay calm and follow instructions. Can you do that?" Her young voice, calm and confident, cut through the panic. The trapped miners began to breathe easier. Children stopped crying. Parents focused on Lucy's voice rather than their fear. "I know you are scared. Being trapped is scary, but you are not alone anymore. We're working on getting the doors open. While we wait, I want everyone to sit down and breathe slowly. Parents, hold your children. Everyone hold hands with the person next to you. We're going to get through this together." The rescue team worked on cutting through the sealed doors while Lucy kept talking. She told stories about Flame and Frost, about how scared the hatchlings had been when she found them. She explained how being scared was okay, but giving up was not. "When I found those baby dragons, they were so cold they could barely move. I thought maybe they were going to die, but I did not give up on them. I kept them warm and talked to them, just like I'm talking to you now. And they got better. You're going to get better too. Just hold on a little longer." One of the trapped sections held a little girl about 5 years old, separated from her mother, who was in a different section. The girl was crying, calling for her mom. Lucy focused on her. "What is your name, sweetie?" "Anna," the girl sobbed. "Anna, I am Lucy. I lost my mom too. I know how scary it is. But your mom is in the next section, and she's going to be okay. I promise. Can you be brave for her? Can you show her how strong you are? I am scared. I know. But being brave does not mean you are not scared. It means you keep going even when you are scared. Your mom needs you to be brave right now. Can you do that for her?" "Okay," Anna whispered. The first door was breached. Rescue workers flooded in, distributing oxygen masks and helping people out. The second door took longer, but Lucy kept talking, keeping everyone calm. When Anna's mother was finally rescued, the woman immediately asked about her daughter. Sarah personally carried the little girl to her mother, and their reunion brought tears to everyone watching. The third section was the most difficult. The air was almost gone, and 2 people had passed out. The rescue team worked frantically while Lucy's voice grew hoarse from talking, but she did not stop. She sang songs her mother used to sing, told every story she could remember, and promised over and over that help was here. When the last door opened and the final group was rescued, Lucy collapsed from exhaustion. Sarah caught her gently. "You did it, little sister. You saved them all. I just talked to them," Lucy said weakly. "You gave them hope. Sometimes that is the greatest gift of all. Outside, Rhaegar had captured 3 of the attackers. Under interrogation, they revealed the truth. They were mercenaries hired through intermediaries connected to Counselor Vrath. The attack was designed to show that humans were weak and needed constant rescue, proving they were a burden on the Empire. Instead, they had proven that humans were valuable in ways Vrath did not understand. Lucy's calm presence had prevented panic that could have killed people. Her compassion had kept families together. Her refusal to abandon anyone, even at risk to herself, had inspired the entire rescue team to work harder. The Emperor himself arrived as the rescued miners were being treated. He found Lucy sitting with Anna, holding the little girl's hand while medical staff checked her oxygen levels. "Heart fire," the Emperor said gently. "You should be resting." Anna was scared. I told her I would stay with her until her mom finished talking to the doctors. The Emperor looked at this small human child who put others before herself every single time. He saw her exhaustion, her hoarse voice, her determination to keep her promise to a frightened girl. Counselor Vrath attempted to prove humans are weak, the Emperor announced to everyone present. Instead, he proved they are essential. This child risked herself to save strangers. She gave hope when there was none. She showed us what it means to truly care for others. He knelt before Lucy. "I offer you formal gratitude on behalf of the Empire. You have honored the title of Heartfire." Lucy was too tired to fully understand his words. She just nodded and kept holding Anna's hand. That night, as she slept in the medical bay recovering from exhaustion, her father sat beside her bed. Sarah and Rhaegar stood guard at the door, refusing to leave until they were certain she was safe. "She is so much like her mother," David said quietly. "Sarah would have done exactly the same thing." "Your mate must have been remarkable," Sarah said. She was, and she would be so proud of Lucy. In the Imperial capital, Counselor Vrath was arrested for conspiracy and attempted murder. His plot had failed completely. Instead of proving humans were weak, he had proven they were precisely what the Empire needed. But the damage was done. The attack had shown that not everyone accepted humanity's new status. There would be more challenges ahead. 1 year had passed since Lucy found 2 freezing hatchlings in a snowdrift. She was now 9 years old, though people often said she seemed much older. The experiences of the past year had shaped her in ways that would echo across the galaxy for generations. New Terra had become the heart of human culture in the Celestial Empire. What started as a struggling frontier colony was now a thriving world where humans from across the settled galaxy came to build new lives. The population had grown from 3,000 to nearly 50,000. Schools, hospitals, farms, and industries flourished under Imperial protection. Lucy still lived in the same small house with her father, though the silver mark on their doorframe now attracted visitors from 100 worlds. People came to see where the Heartfire lived, where the story began. Lucy found it embarrassing, but understood that sometimes stories mattered as much as the events themselves. She spent her time split between New Terra and the Imperial Palace. Flame and Frost, now the size of small transport ships, remained deeply bonded to her. They had become something unique in Drakkar history. Dragons who loved a human as much as their own parents. When Lucy visited the palace, the 2 dragons would abandon whatever they were doing to find her. The trial of Counselor Vrath had concluded 3 months earlier. He was found guilty of conspiracy, attempted murder, and treason against the imperial family. His punishment was exile to a remote mining world where he would spend the rest of his life in labor, with plenty of time to reflect on his mistakes. But Vrath's trial had revealed something important. He was not alone in his beliefs. Many throughout the Empire still questioned whether humanity deserved their elevated status. Some species saw humans as competitors for imperial favor. Others genuinely believed humans were too weak to survive without constant protection. The Emperor decided it was time to make a final statement about humanity's place in the Empire. He called for a grand ceremony on New Terra itself, to be attended by representatives from every major species in the Celestial Empire. The location was deliberate. He wanted everyone to see what humans had built with imperial support. The day of the ceremony was perfect. Clear skies, gentle warmth, and a sense of anticipation that filled the air. A massive platform had been constructed in the center of New Terra's main settlement. Thousands gathered to witness what was about to happen. Lucy stood on the platform wearing a simple dress, uncomfortable with fancy clothing. Her father stood beside her, equally uncomfortable in formal attire. Princess Sarah and High Prince Rhaegar flanked them, with Flame and Frost settling protectively nearby. Emperor Voketh arrived last, his massive form descending from the sky like a falling star. He landed on the platform with earth-shaking force, his silver scales gleaming in the sunlight. Every being present bowed except Lucy, who simply smiled at him. The Emperor had told her long ago that she never needed to bow. They were family, people of the Celestial Empire. The Emperor's voice rang out across the gathered crowd. We are here to witness the formalization of a new age. For 10,000 years, this empire has valued strength and honor above all else. Today, we recognize a third pillar, compassion. He gestured to Lucy. 1 year ago, this child found my grandchildren dying in the snow. She did not know who they were. She did not consider the political implications. She saw only two beings who needed help, and she gave everything she had to save them. In doing so, she reminded us what we had forgotten. The Emperor's eyes swept across the assembled delegates. Many of you questioned my decision to elevate humanity. You argued they were weak, primitive, too short-lived to matter. You claimed I was being sentimental, allowing personal gratitude to cloud my judgment. Today, I prove you wrong. Holographic displays activated, showing footage from the past year. Human doctors treating patients of every species. Human engineers working alongside alien technicians. Human diplomats mediating conflicts with patience and understanding. Human rescue workers risking themselves to save strangers. Over and over, humans choosing compassion over convenience, kindness over profit, connection over isolation. Humans are not weak, the Emperor declared. They're strong in ways we had stopped valuing. They remember that every life matters. They refuse to accept that suffering is inevitable. They choose hope when logic says there is none. These qualities are not primitive. They are essential. He turned to Lucy. Heartfire, I ask you to speak. Tell these delegates why humanity matters. Lucy had not prepared speech. She had not wanted to speak at all, but she looked at her father, who nodded encouragement, and she found her voice. I do not really understand politics or empires, Lucy began, her young voice carrying across the silent crowd. I just know that when someone is cold, you give them warmth. When someone is hungry, you share your food. When someone is scared, you stay with them. My mom taught me that. She said the most important thing you can do in life is make someone else's life a little bit better. She looked at the Emperor. His Majesty thinks I did something special by saving Flame and Frost. But I just did what anyone should do. The problem is not that humans are special. The problem is that too many people forgot to care about each other. If the Empire thinks what I did was unusual, then maybe the Empire needs to remember that every person, no matter what species they are, already knows in their heart how to be kind. They just need to choose to act on it. Lucy pointed to the medical center visible in the distance. That building was built because I asked for it. I did not ask for me. I asked for everyone. My mom died because we did not have good medicine. I did not want other kids to lose their moms. If I had asked for money or power for myself, my mom would have been disappointed in me. She taught me that what you do for others matters more than what you get for yourself. She took a deep breath. Some people say humans are weak because we die young and need protection. But everyone needs help sometimes. Flame and Frost needed help when I found them. Does that make them weak? No. It makes them babies who needed someone to care. Being strong is not about never needing help. Being strong is about helping others when they need it, even if it is hard or scary. Lucy looked directly at the assembled delegates, many of whom towered over her small form. If you think humans do not belong in the Empire, that is okay. You can think whatever you want. But we're not going anywhere. We're going to keep helping people. We're going to keep being kind. And maybe, if you watch us long enough, you will remember how to care about each other too. Silence followed her words. Then, slowly, one delegate began to clap. Then another. Within moments, the entire gathering was applauding, some making sounds of approval in their native languages. The emperor raised his claw for silence. I now formalize what has been building for a year. By imperial decree, humanity is recognized as heart-bearers of the empire. This is not merely a title. It is a responsibility. Humans will serve throughout the empire in roles where their compassion can benefit all species. They will be medical staff, counselors, mediators, teachers, and protectors of those who cannot protect themselves. He paused, letting his words sink in. In exchange, the empire pledges to protect humanity, to support their settlements, and to value their contributions as equal to any species. This is not charity. This is recognition that we need what humans provide. We need their reminder that empires exist not to conquer, but to protect, not to dominate, but to serve. The emperor knelt before Lucy, repeating the gesture he had made a year ago. Lucy Bennett, called Heartfire, I name you Ambassador of Heart. You will represent humanity in the imperial court. You will speak for those who have no voice. You will remind us, whenever we forget, why kindness matters more than power. Lucy looked at the massive dragon kneeling before her and felt the weight of what he was asking. Your Majesty, I am only 9 years old. How can I represent anyone? You need not have all the answers, the emperor said gently. You need only to keep doing what you have always done. Care about people, choose compassion, and refuse to give up on anyone. That is enough. Sarah stepped forward, tears in her golden eyes. I wish to make an addition to this ceremony. Lucy, you saved my children. You became part of our family. Today, I wish to make that bond formal. I ask permission to adopt you as my daughter, alongside your human father. You will belong to 2 families, 2 worlds, 2 species. You will be a bridge between us. David gasped. Lucy looked at her father, worried he would feel replaced. But David was smiling, tears running down his face. Sarah would have loved this, David said. She always said family is not just about blood. It is about who chooses to love you. Say yes, Lucy. Your mother would want you to have as much love as possible. Lucy looked at Sarah, at the dragon who had become like a second mother to her. Yes, I would be honored. Flame and Frost, understanding what was happening, made joyful roaring sounds that shook the platform. They wrapped themselves around Lucy in a careful embrace, their scales warm against her skin. The ceremony concluded with a formal declaration, the Bennett Accord, named after both Lucy and her father. The accord stated that all species in the empire must be judged not by strength or technology, but by character and compassion. Resources would be allocated to help species develop not just militarily or economically, but also in terms of social welfare, education, and healthcare. That evening, after the delegates had departed and the crowds had dispersed, Lucy sat with her father on the steps of their small house. The silver mark on the doorframe glowed softly in the twilight. How do you feel? David asked, tired and a little scared. What if I'm not good enough? What if I make mistakes? You will make mistakes. Everyone does. But you will also keep trying to help people, and that is what matters. David put his arm around his daughter. Your mother and I never imagined you would become someone so important. But we always knew you were someone special. I'm not special, Dad. I just do what feels right. That is exactly what makes you special, Lucy. Most people know what is right. You actually do it, even when it is hard. A year ago, Lucy had been a lonely girl on a struggling colony, grieving her mother and trying to help her father survive. Now she was Ambassador of Heart, adopted daughter of the imperial family, and symbol of humanity's place in the galaxy. But sitting on those steps with her father, she was still just Lucy, a girl who found 2 freezing babies and chose to help them. Everything else had grown from that one simple choice. Inside the house, Sarah's scale rested on the table, glowing softly. In the imperial palace, Flame and Frost slept peacefully, dreaming of their human sister. Across the empire, humans looked to New Terra with hope, knowing they were valued at last. And on a small house on a frontier world, the Emperor's silver blessing continued to glow, a reminder that sometimes the most powerful force in the galaxy is not strength or technology or logic. Sometimes, it is simply a child with a kind heart who refuses to leave anyone behind in the cold. Lucy leaned against her father and watched the stars come out, one by one, lighting the sky above New Terra. Somewhere up there, her mother's spirit was watching, proud of the daughter who had changed the galaxy by remembering the simplest lesson. When someone needs help, you help them. That was all. That was everything. The end.